Trump and this team were not ready for the presidency, not even.
Okay, Bob, you got to be played by Robert Redford and All the President's Men, but there is a point there that, believe it or not, Joe Scarborough was trying to make, and that is there are really only two choices when you look at Mike Pence. And, you know, when you look at the articles that came out today, and it says, you know, that Trump was bragging to the Russians that he fired that nut job Comey, and now the pressure of Russia and the investigation is off him, and he's not under investigation. And he tells this to the Russians in real time while the Russians are in the Oval Office. Okay, and then his staff, somebody in the official White House staff, on the official White House staff, is taking these notes and reads them to a New York Times reporter, and then a second official confirms the factual nature that these are the notes, and Spicer decides that he's not going to dispute that these are the notes, and this is the story being told. And then you also see that that Pence was told as the transition team leader that Flynn was under investigation by the FBI for criminal activity having to do with Turkey and the Russians. And Mike Pence keeps denying, oh, this is the first I ever heard of it. What, I was lied to and I didn't know. And, remember this. This is like the famous, Brett Baer interview.
Former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn has filed with the Department of Justice as a foreign agent for making more than $500,000 as a lobbyist, essentially, for Turkey. Your reaction to that, considering that, doesn't that mean, Mr. Vice President, that even if he didn't lie to you about what the Russian ambassador said or didn't say, that you would have had to fire him anyway?
Let me say, hearing that story today was the first I heard of it. And I fully support the decision that President Trump made to ask for General Flynn's resignation.
You're disappointed by the story?
The first I heard of it, and...
How many times did you have to say, first I heard of it, first I heard of it? Okay, so when you look at the other article that came out today that said the Russia probe reaches a current White House official, while everybody is speculating it's Jared because Jared lied on his clearance application, left out that he met with Kislyak, and left out that he met with one of the biggest banks in Russia, left it off, left it out, and his lawyer, of course, cleared it up for me today. I have no questions. He said, he prematurely filed that application, and sooner or later, he'll update it. So everybody thinks it's Jared. I think it might be Pence or Reince, because if you look at the timeline on Mike Pence, he has this strange habit, ongoing and repetitive habit, of claiming only to be aware of major issues, especially to do with the Russians, only after they become public. And that is why conservative media has this whole stack here. This whole stack here is all about these are the GOP or Republican. I won't say GOP, but these are writers who are conservative, who have been writing and writing and writing. Trump doesn't embody what's wrong with Washington. Pence does. The Trump can't seem to stop telling the truth. Kathleen Parker. The guardrails can't contain Trump. Make the guardrails bigger. Charles Krauthammer. Richard Cohen again writing. It's this whole pile here is nothing but people who believe in conservatism writing endlessly that the problem is not just Trump, but it's Pence. So that when Woodward is asked for a comment, and he says, it's the whole, everybody. Yeah, that's worthless, Bob. That's worthless. Okay? Robert Redford played you. Leave it to Carl now. Poor Carl. He had to be played by Dustin Hoffman. Little tiny, teeny tiny Dustin. Great actor, but tiny teeny. Like shorter than Cruz. Yeah. He's an itty bitty. And you got Robert Redford. So call it a life already and leave it to Bernstein. Although Bernstein, yeah, he took a backseat to a very powerful. He was Nora Ephron's husband. Can you imagine what that house was like? she's sitting there typing all these, great love stories. Harry Met Sally, and You've Got Mail, and just typing and crying and weeping in front of the computer, and and he's knocking on doors, going, "Have you ever investigated the committee to reelect the president?" Creep, a poor guy. So I think it might be Pence. January 4th, 2017. Pence was the head of the Trump transition team. Flynn told the Trump transition team on the 4th of January, they're not even sworn in yet. He wasn't the national security advisor yet. Flynn tells the transition team, who is Mike Pence? Hey, I want you to know something. I'm under investigation by the FBI. Apparently, I got ties to Russia and Turkey, and I never claimed them. And I did take money. And Pence claims he's unaware that Flynn was a foreign agent until the news breaks on March 9th, 2017, and Flynn lied to him. Didn't they get that letter? Yeah. Elijah Cummings sent a letter to Mike Pence personally. Don't make Flynn national security advisor. Guy's under FBI investigation. And by the way, violated several statutes. And you really don't want somebody as the last guy in the room with the president of the United States making national security decisions when he's a compromised, blackmailable dude. It's just not smart.